All right, so after making 2,775 last week, I told myself this whole entire weekend to not fuck this up because with my goals and dreams right now, for me to get to the next level, I have to make a minimum of over 2,000 a month in trading in order for me to work less, have more time and energy and focus on the market, and I fucked it up. Um, so I'll go over it here. Um, Explain how I even got to this stock. So over the weekend, I was, looking up stocks, um, and shit, just looking them up, and I came across a few of them. And this was one of the stocks. Well, this wasn't one of the stocks I was looking at, but this is one of them that came on the scanner. And as I'm watching it, it had a merge. And you know what a merge? They're going to be dumping shares. They had a merge of $1.5 billion. I don't care if it's true or not, but I know there's a merge. Excuse me. So that's what I was looking for. So I started shorting. I didn't, and I looked at the flow. I think the flow. I can't remember what the flow was. Let me look it up. There was no offering on this, but there was the merge. Um, the flow was 45 million, which is okay, I guess. Don't really know, but so I seen that it was going sideways. It perked up to this. I think this is 2270. Yeah, it perked up to 2270, and it wouldn't break past it. Um, so I took in a short here. Well, I wanted to take a short in here. I kind of missed it. So I took my first short in here, and um, from its price action right here and all of this, it was telling from what I was seeing that it wasn't gonna perk up. So I was trying to add another 500 shares right here, but I accidentally made a mistake and covered my 500 shares, and I made that mistake, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then I was the reason why you see that it perked up. I covered because I had my short entry at a high price, and it got executed, and I covered and pushed it up here, and that's why you see it uptrended here, and I it got covered and it pushed up, and I'm like, damn, I made a mistake. So I quickly got back into my shorted right here, um, and then I'm like, okay, it's consolidating, it's going sideways. It doesn't look like it's gonna perk up because it wouldn't break past 65 the whole time, 2265, and I'm like, okay, although I pushed it up, it's still giving me the sign that they're gonna dump into this. So I tried shorting again another 500 shares like I was originally trying to do over here, and I did it again. I accidentally covered my shares um, at a high price, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I keep doing this." So then I just said, "Fuck it, I'm shooting the whole thing." 1,000 shares at 2261 shorted, and then I added another 500 shares here because I'm like, this is gonna give me what I'm looking for. And then I'm like, okay, every 10 cents is $150. If I can just make, um, I did the math here as well. Um, I was like, man, okay, for every 10 cent, that's 150 shares. So I was like, okay, how much is it for $1? how much would I make if it's $1? So I'm like, one times, and I'm like, okay, 1,500. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm looking at the range, and it was up. This stock was up from the 17s to a high of 25. So I'm like, okay, I can make a large amount. And I was like, okay, don't think about the money. Think about performance, and that's I had to force my mind out of the money and think properly. And I'm like, okay, how much am I risking right now? And my average was about, I think it was 22.56, and I was risking up to 70, 71. So I'm like, okay, roughly it was 165, $165 I was risking. And I'm like, okay, that's way beyond my risk, but and there is no but I did it honestly. And I'm like, man, okay, if this goes my way, I'm gonna be up. So I pulled back, and I was close to 100 to $150 in profits, and I'm like, okay, if it drops 20 cents, I'm 2 to 1. If it drops 50 cents, I'm 5 to 1. I can take that. And honestly, the reason why I was trying to do this too is because I wanted to be right, and I wanted to make a large gain, so that can play into my, more than $2,000 a month um, idea that I had, so that I don't have to work as much, and I can focus more time on things that I want to do, like trading. And it's trending. It pulled back. I'm like, okay, it's giving me what I'm looking for, but it's not breaking this low. And I'm like, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, market open. There's gonna be a flush for sure. And market opens. It's not going nowhere. And I'm like, yo, you know what it means? If it doesn't break down, guess what's gonna happen? And I'm like, no, I have to be right. This is a fucking. In my head, I'm thinking I have to be right, but I'm like reminding myself that the market doesn't owe you anything. You can't. You're not. Excuse me. You're not always gonna be right. And it just spiked after it wouldn't fail, and I was like, fuck. And it spiked. I was down like $300, $400. I was like, okay, I'll take my loss there. I don't care. And then it pulled back, and I'm like, okay, this looks like one of those spikes that just perks up and then come crashing down. And I honestly thought that's what it was. So I was like, okay, I'm willing to wait. I'm not struggling to cut my losses quickly, because now I'm thinking intelligently. It's one of those perks and then comes crashing down, and that's what I thought it was going to be. And I'm like, okay, what's the next resistance level? And I'm looking, okay, 23. Is 23 the next point? And it's pushing up to 23, pushing up to 23 right here, right here, right here, and then right here, and then right here. It gets closer to 23, and I'm like, damn, it's getting higher every single time. And it was like 22.99. I'm like, okay, is it gonna hit 23? And then it comes back down and it gives me a break even right here, or close to break even. But it was so fast I couldn't even cover, and then it perked, and I'm like, shit, I can take this $400 to $500 loss, or I can just keep waiting. I'm like, man, here's high a day. It's at a whole dollar mark. It might not even break past it. Give it some time. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna challenge these levels. If it goes my way, man, I'm in for a great run. But damn, if it doesn't, I'm down over 50 cents or 50 cents per share, and that's about $750. And then it broke past 23, and I covered. And I said, "Fuck it, I'm out." And I covered. Um, I covered for a $710 loss right here. And then I gave myself a shot again right here. Took another short, lost another 150. Now I'm down, 860 something, around 860. I covered right here. Uh, and then I just kept trying. I'm like, I know when I keep trying over and over again, I end up fucking dying by 1,000 paper cuts. Tried right here, thinking it would, because after this big crash right here that I missed, because I wanted to short right here, but I'm like, man, I'm not just not comfortable at this point. I've taken such a big loss. I'm mentally not ready for, or mentally not there. And I took my shot right here, and I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna bounce and then continue to fade and break lower day. It didn't, and it kept pushing up, and I covered. And then, um, before even I got into these other trades, I looked at the yearly chart and I'm like, let's look at the yearly chart to tell me what it's going to do. And I realized it will come crashing down, but it's not one of those stocks that spike and then come crashing down and never comes back up. This is a really choppy trend, and it's not going to give me what I was looking for. So going back to the daily chart, I mean the minute chart. So after trying to short it here and here, um, I took in this one short right here. I took in this one short right here. Oh, I covered right there, but I took in this short right here and I shorted it for what? 1,500 shares. It started downtrending. At one point, I was up 200 bucks here, but honestly, I was aiming for home run. Not even home run. I was aiming for a lesser um, loss, like a $200 loss or a $300 to $400 loss, or I was looking to go for a home run and go green on this trade and possibly win large. But my failure to understand that based off the past history, I'm not getting that, and they're not dumping these shares. So I ended up taking a $1,011 loss, and I'm glad I covered because it kept uptrending. I was also thinking about longing this trade, but I'm like, that's not my strategy, and I wouldn't want to long something like this. This is fucking too choppy. Clearly, you can see it's getting sold into to every spike, but it's still pushing up, and stocks can do that. Um, and you see, the thing is, I'm learning that first you got to be careful with your size, and then another thing too is if you're going big, you gotta cut when you're wrong. Because I could have been right, and this could have been perfect. This could have probably been a $2,000 to $3,000 gain if it crashed. Excuse me, even 50% of what I was looking for. So then after this trade, I got a kind of upset and greedy, and I was looking for stocks to trade, and ticker symbol mrln. Here's the yearly chart. Um, I never even looked at the yearly chart, but here's the yearly chart. I still got my alert at 2090, which it never hit. Um, but the yearly chart telling me, okay, it spiked for a couple of days, pulled back. I mean, went higher the next day, then crashed. Same thing here. You know, I don't like the trend. But looking at it today, I was like, wow, this was so much of a better short, um, because it perked up high day. I mean, even me watching it, if I was watching this pre-market, um, I probably would have. I doubt I would have gotten out here, but I probably would have shorted here, market open like I always do, or I probably would have got in here or waited closer to high day to short, which it broke high day by what we call it 20 cents. But this was so much of a better short for so from 22.90 down to, and I don't know if this candlestick is real or not, but it went down to 20.75. So that's about a $2 or a dollar. Um, about a $2 difference bounced. Even if I missed this, I could have tried to short this. Um, and it perked up past the previous high by what, 1 penny, and I could have shorted it. But then I got so greedy and so frustrated that I lost, and I took such a big loss. Um, that I if I can get here, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get to the screen. So yes, I took my short here. Honestly, I was in the completely wrong mindset. I was just looking at an opportunity to make some money. I'm like, damn, I just gave back half my gains from last week, and I'm like, man, this stock is giving me everything I wanted, everything I would want, and I missed it. I didn't even know what's happening, and I just got greedy and stubborn, and I even said this in my last week video, to not short the exact bottom is just not worth it, and I do it, and I did it, and I shorted this exact bottom. Um, I shorted this exact bottom right here, and it gave me nothing more, and it perked up, and I covered here, and then when I looked, not only this stock right here, mrln, but KNL that I was just looking at, they both were very illiquid. Like KNL had 2 million float, I mean volume, but that was still horrible. Well, 27 million. But the way it was trading, still horrible to me. This one, what didn't even hit? I don't even think it hit a million. Let me see. It hit a million point 58. No flow at all. When I was watching it, when I was shorting it, I think it hit. I think it was at 90 million. I mean 90,000, 100,000. I think I can't remember. But if I look into the hourly chart, you got okay, yeah. So then I was wrong, but I know it didn't hit a million yet by the time I was trading it, and I was just looking at myself like, why did I trade this? Because this had was very illiquid, but it was out of greed, honestly, and I'm not upset with myself for that. But um, all in all, you know, for the first trade, KNL, I guess my biggest mistake was, you know, realizing that I was wrong. You know, a good thing I realized I was wrong. I saw that, okay, hey, maybe there's a high chance that this can be a quick perk up and pull back. So let me try to cover intelligently or trade this intelligently. When the I didn't cut losses quickly, but I'm like, okay, the intelligent part, you know, I'll trade it more intelligently. And when the intelligent side of it didn't work out neither, um, I covered, which is good, but the size that I lost was just horrible. Um, and then I took a few more shots, didn't work out, trying to see if it was gonna work. Really, honestly, other than the heavy sizing that I did, uh, the, there wasn't too much. there wasn't too much bad discipline that I had in this trade other than the sizing, and I could have covered at um, quicker and took a smaller loss. But other than that, I think I did pretty good. And for the third thing, I could have taken less attempts at it. But hey, I was judging it based off of odds. But overall, it wasn't my strategy, you know. But I do know how to short first green days. But it wasn't my strategy. But other than that, discipline wasn't all that bad until I got into my second trade where I was just completely in the wrong mindset and I wanted to make some money. So I shorted mrln, Mr. Elton. But other than that, I think I did pretty fine, honestly. And such a lesson to learn. I got so upset that, and I didn't get upset because I didn't perform horribly. I got upset because I just wanted to make some money today so that I can be like, okay, yeah, I got made some money, good shit, da da da. But it just would have been nice to increase that $2,000 plus gain so that I can sit back and be like, yeah, okay, if I can make 2K over 2K a month, that's progress. So that's what it is. And tomorrow's a new day. Stocks are still illiquid because everybody's putting their money into Bitcoin. I mean, not Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency. Even I did. I made triple my money. But yeah, I just gotta trade smart. Try to stick to first red days instead of first green days.